Hey John, thanks for sending me your swim video for analysis. The first thing I'm looking at is breathing, body balance, rotation, and kick. It looks like regarding body balance, rotation, and kick, you're pretty comfortable with that, as well as breathing. The main things I notice with your breathing is you rotate your head a little bit too far. Maybe you're lifting your neck a little bit instead of rotating and keeping one ear close to your bicep and keeping half your face out of the water. So when you're thinking about breathing, think about rotating on your hip to breathe and not just rotating your head up to breathe. That might help. Regarding balance, the balance and the breathing go together. You can kind of see when your head is rotated to the side to exhale, your arm is slightly falling. And I think your arm is falling a little bit too soon, and that's causing you to miss out on an arm pull. So when you're stroking and you're inhaling, you need to take a quick breath, put your head back under, and then start your pull, because that's only going to help create a more powerful pull, catch, and push, which right now the bottom line is you just don't have much power behind your pull. And just fixing the little things like breathing and body balance are going to help you set up for a strong catch and push. When it comes to rotation, you have rotation because you're bilateral breathing, but I want you to know what's driving the rotation is your push is driving the rotation. So you catch and you push, and that's what's driving your rotation to the other side. Right now you can see from the initial beginning of your video when you're swimming into the camera that you have this wide arm pull. You definitely want to be pulling down the center of your body and then push past your hip. But more on that in a second. So again, think about your breathing, body balance, rotation. When it comes to kick, I don't think your kick is really necessarily doing you any good right now as far as your legs are moving up and down. You don't really want the kick to propel your body through the water. You want your catch and your push. You want that push propulsive force to drive you forward in the water. And so I think you're just kind of moving your legs up and down, and it doesn't really serve a purpose other than maybe creating some breathlessness because your legs are larger muscles and they're using more oxygen. So the purpose of the kick is to provide balance. And if you were strictly a swimmer, an age group, or collegiate or Olympic swimmer, you definitely want to use those legs more for propulsion. But for the purposes of what you're trying to do, I'd say save the kick and don't use your legs so much. We talked about breathing, body balance, rotation, and kick. Next, we'd go to the three main phases of the stroke. Recovery, you want those fingertips below the wrist, below the elbow. You want to lead with your elbow. Remember that catch and push drives your rotation. So you can lead with your elbow. One arm's pulling while the other arm's recovering. The other arm's pulling. One arm's recovering. The other arm's pulling. Notice how my elbows are bent and high during the recovery phase as well as the catch and the push phase. So I'm not too concerned with your recovery. It is a little bit wide, but I don't think that's necessarily a deal breaker, making you not have much power behind your pull. The main reason is you just don't have any catch in your pull. So let's talk about that in a second. So after we do recovery, you do have a nice hand entering with your fingertips below your wrist, below your elbow. And here's what you want to happen. You want to bend that arm so that hand is between your belly button and hip. You're pulling down the center of your body, and then you push all the way past your hip. So arm comes around, enters, you're on your hip, you catch, you start to drive your rotation, you push your hand behind you past your hip, and that's what drives your rotation. The propulsive force comes after the catch. You push your palm behind your elbow past your hip. So you can see two things going on with your pull. Number one, you're pulling a little bit wider. You want to keep that pull between your belly button and hip. And number two, your arm is very straight. You don't really have much bend in your elbow to get a good catch. You just kind of bring your arms down and you tend to cut your arm out short. You're not pushing all the way behind you. So you can maybe, bypass the first few things that I said and just focus on that underwater pull. 2 main drills that are going to help you with the underwater pull are catch up, where you catch up your stroke. You catch up from one hand to the other about 6 to 9 inches below the surface of the water and focus on your push. So you're focusing on the catch part of the stroke. Even though you're catching up one hand to the other, you're really focusing on this part of the stroke. And then the other drill is the extended doggy paddle drill, where your arms never come out of the water and you're just focused on pulling yourself through the water through your catch and your push part of your stroke. Even though I just said maybe bypass what I said in the beginning, you need to be aware of it. But more importantly, if you just focus a little bit more on the catch and the push, you'll be able to pull more water with every arm stroke and take less strokes and go faster, and it should feel easier. One thing I didn't mention, which I'm going to mention now, is every time you breathe, and if you let that arm fall as you're inhaling, then you've actually missed out on a propulsive force. So that's why when you turn to rotate, you want to extend this arm a little bit out in front of you, get the breath, turn your head back down, and then get the push, so you get a little bit more propulsive force after you take a breath. So hopefully this all makes sense to you. If you have any questions, let me know, and make it a great day.